What's up, the geeks? My name is OMGWTF and welcome to Suprocker Saturday. Suprocker Saturday is the one day of the week that I choose to play any game that I really like to play, such as the game that we've been playing as of lately, the arcade playthroughs of the Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3. Last time we completed Felicia, a Capcom character, and this time we're going to be going around with Marvel characters. As you see, I've highlighted Magneto, so I will be using Magneto along with the team of Dr. Doom and Virgil, and the reason why I'm trying to speed this up is because I have quite a lot to go through, because a reoccurring thing that I like to do during these Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3 playthroughs is give you information based off the character I've done, and Magneto is one of those characters who has a lot of characters, so, a lot of information on. So, why don't we just get started right now. Magneto is a fictional character that appears in comic books published by Marvel Comics. He has most often been the primary villain of the X-Men comics as well as the TV shows and films, although in the comics he has been an ally and even a member of the X-Men at times. The character first appears in X-Men #1, which was in September 1963, and was created by writer Stan Lee and artist Jack Kirby. He's a powerful mutant with the ability to generate and control magnetic fields. Max desired mutants to eventually dominate the human race, as he viewed humans as an outdated species that no longer deserves its continual domination over the world. However, writers have since fleshed out his characters and origin, revealing him to be a Jewish Holocaust survivor whose actions are driven by the purpose of protecting the mutant race from suffering a similar fate. His role in the comics have varied from supervillain to anti-hero to superhero. His character's early history has been compared with the civil rights leader Malcolm X and Jewish ultra-nationalist Mir Kayin. Magneto first appeared in the debut issue of X-Men in 1963, along with the titular team. Though the decades from 1960s, Magneto has appeared in several issues of the original X-Men series, generally known as Uncanny X-Men, as well as such spin-offs as X-Men, Astonishing X-Men, Alpha Flight, Cable, Excalibur, and the New Mutants, many X-Men Mercenaries, and several other Marvel titles. His first solo title was a one-shot special, Magneto, The Twisted Soul #0, September 1993. Published when the character returned from a brief absence, it reprinted Magneto-based stories from classic X-Men #12 and 19, August 1987 and March 1988, by writer Chris Claremont and artist John Bolton. In a 2008 interview, Stan Lee elaborated that he did not think of Magneto as a bad guy. He just wanted to strike back at the people who were so bigoted and racist. He was trying to defend the mutants, and because the society was not treating them fairly, he was going to teach society a lesson. He was a danger, of course, but I never thought of him as a villain. In the same interview, he also revealed that he originally planned for Magneto to be the brother of arch-nemesis Professor Xavier. Magneto's first original title was a 4-issue miniseries, Magneto, November 1996 to November 1997, by writers Peter Milligan and Jorge Gonzalez, and penciler Kelly Jones. The miniseries took place during a period where it was believed Magneto had been de-aged and was suffering from amnesia, calling himself Joseph. It was later revealed that Joseph was a younger clone of Magneto. Later, Magneto became a ruler of a nation, Genosha. During this period, he received 2 miniseries, Magneto Rex, written by Joe Perret and drawn by Brandon Peterson, and Magneto Dark Seduction, written by Fabian whatever, I don't know that name, and drawer Roger Cruz. A trade paperback noveling detailed Magneto's childhood entitled X-Men Magneto Testament was released in September 2008 and written by Greg Pak. Magneto Testament, which Pak based on the accounts from Holocaust survivors, watched documentaries, and read comics such as Mouse. Finally confirms and clarifies into the Marvel Comics canon Magneto's personal history and background. Before the publication of X-Men Magneto Testament, Magneto's personal background and history was established in Uncanny X-Men Volume 1, number 150 in August 1981, as him being a Jewish Holocaust survivor while he was searching for his wife, Magada, a Sinti Gypsy. Magneto maintained a cover identity as a Sinti Gypsy. This created confusion amongst some readers as to his heritage, until it was authoritatively confirmed in Magneto Testament that he is in fact Jewish. Magneto was born Max Eisenhardt sometime in the late 1920s to a middle-class German-Jewish family whose father, Jacob Eisenhardt, was highly decorated World War I veteran. Surviving discrimination and hardship during the Nazi rise to power, Christakalant, sorry if I'm pronouncing these names wrong, and the passing of the numbered laws in 1939, Max and his family fled to Poland, where they were captured during a German invasion of Poland and sent to Warsaw Ghetto. Max and his family escaped the ghetto only to be betrayed and captured again. His mother and father and sister were executed and buried in a mass grave, but Max survived, possible due to the manifestation of his powers. Escaping from the mass grave, he was ultimately captured yet again and sent to Auschwitz, where he would eventually become a Soccerdemando. Like I said, I don't know if I'm pronouncing these words right. While at Auschwitz, Eisenhardt reunited with Roma, a girl named Magada, with whom he had fallen in love with when he was younger, and with whom he escaped the prison camp during October 17, 1944 revolt. Following the war, he and Magada moved to Ukraine city in Venetia, and Max adopted the name Magnus. Magada and Magnus had a daughter named Anya, and lived uneventfully until one night when an angry mob, spurred on the first manifestation of Magnus' powers, burned down their home and Anya was still inside. Enraged at the mob for preventing him from rescuing Anya, the young Magnus' powers manifested uncontrollably, killing the mob and destroying part of the city. Magada, terrified of Magnus' power, left him and later gave birth to the mutant twins Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch before walking away to die. Wanted by authorities for the death and destruction of Vincidia while searching for Magada, Magnus paid a Roman forger, George Arcadu, to create the covered identity for Eric Leshnar, the Scintia Gypsy. Eric relocated to Israel, where he met and befriended Charles Xavier while working on a psychiatric hospital near Hapia. There, lengthy debates were held by two regarding consequences humanity faced with the rise of mutants. Though neither revealed to the other they had both, in fact, possessed mutant powers, however, they were forced to reveal their inherent abilities to another while facing Baron Structure and Hydra. Following the battle, Eric realized that his and Xavier's views were incompatible, left with the cachet of hidden Nazi gold, which provided him with the finances to pursue his goal. Magneto is a mutant with the power to manipulate electromagnetic fields to achieve a wide range of effects. The primary application of his powers is control over magnetism and manipulation of ferrous and non-ferrous metal. While the maximum amount of mass he can manipulate at one time is unknown, he has moved large asteroids several times and effectively levitated over 30,000 tons of nuclear submarine. His powers extended in subatomic level, insofar an electromagnetic force is responsible for chemical bonding. Ugh, too much big science words right now. Allowing him to manipulate chemical structures and rearrange matter. Although this is often a strenuous task, he can manipulate a large number of individual objects simultaneously as he assembled the complex machinery with his powers. He can also affect non-metallic and non-magnetic objects to a lesser extent, and frequently levitates himself and others. He can also generate electromagnetic pulses of great strength and generate and manipulate electromagnetic energy down to photons. He can turn invisible by warping visible light around his body. Another way in which Magneto frequently uses his powers is projection of force fields, which selectively block out matter of energy. These fields are strong enough to withstand the detonation of multiple thermonuclear weapons, hence Magneto is invulnerable to most harm when surrounded by his shield and can survive in deep space thanks to it. He can also challenge He can also challenge his powers through his own body to increase his strength and durability far beyond human limits in a baseline reaction of 15 times shorter than the other regular humans. On occasion, he has altered the behavior of gravitational fields around him, which has been suggested as evidence of existence in unified field which he can manipulate. He has demonstrated capacity that produced the wormhole and safely teleport himself and others via the wormhole. Excuse me, nerds and geeks, this is a lot. Magneto has been frequently depicted as able to resist all but the strongest or most unexpected telepathic attacks. A number of explanations have been proposed for his unusual strong resistance to telepathy, among them A. Technology wired to his helmet, the explanation given in the X-Men film series and several comic plot lines. B. Some physical aspects of electromagnetic powers that can interfere with telepathy. He once used the Earth's magnetic field to dampen the powers of telepaths within his reach. C. Latent telepathic powers of his own. Or D. Sheer force of will. X-Men Volume Number 2 said that. The theme of this latent telepathic powers have been explored in a number of stories, among them the Secret Wars limited series. In some of his earliest appearances, Magneto was depicted as capable of engaging in astral projection. He has also on rare occasions been shown reading others' dreams, insinuating telepathic commands and probing the minds of others. He has demonstrated the ability to shield his mind while in intense meditation so completely that even Emma Frost was not able to read his thoughts despite being directly in front of him and actively attempting to do so. In addition to some of his powers, Magneto has many other skills. He is a genius with competence in various fields of advanced science, especially in genetic manipulation, partial physics, engineering, and other fields of technology. He has engineered advanced weaponry, space station, superpowered humanoids, life forms, devices that generate volcanoes and earthquakes, devices that block telepathy, and devices that can nullify all mutant powers except his own. He has reconstructed computerized devices from memory. He is fluent in many human languages and once single-handedly deciphered the unknown language of a lost civilization. He possesses extraordinary skill in reading the micro-expansions on others' faces and sensing what they are thinking and feeling, whether they are lying, fearful, etc. A skill which he refers to as taking your enemy's measures. He also is the master strategist and tactician with extensive combat experience, and has often been successful in single-handed combat against entire groups of superhuman adversaries. He also has some military training in hand-to-hand combat, and has been shown to effect with his fist, but he prefers to use his powers and win in combat situations. Alright, next thing we're going to go over is a bunch of TV series he's been in. So he was in the Spider-Man 1967 TV series, and in that, I'm going to give you a little information on this kind of stuff too. In the 1967 Spider-Man cartoon, Spider-Man battles a scientist named Dr. Magneto, wielding a magnetic gun in The Revenge of Dr. Magneto. The character was very loosely based on the Magneto character from the comics, and more closely resembled Albert Einstein instead of Erich Magnus Leshner. The character is also not a mutant nor had any superpowers. His name is mispronounced Magneto instead of Magneto. In the 1978 Fantastic Four cartoon, Magneto, voiced by John Stevenson, briefly took control of the team and the menace of Magneto. Here, he is not depicted as a mutant, instead he is simply extremely powerful supervillain with a typical aspiration such as robbing a bank instead of flying. He moves around on a bizarre car-like device which he moves using his magnetic powers. He was defeated when Reed Richards tricked him into a wooden gun. Excuse me, I skipped over it. The solo Spider-Man cartoon from 1981 featured Magneto in the episode When Magneto Speaks, People Listen. In this version, when he used the allies, Mr. M took over and hid several of the world's communication satellites and demanded $100 million in gold to return power to the world. He was defeated by Spider-Man, who was able to turn his magnetic power back by using a microwave relay. But Magneto managed to escape. Magneto returned, and Spider-Man and his amazing friends attempting to free his fellow mutants from prison and the prison plot. He was voiced by Michael Rye. The character also made a cameo appearance in a flashback in A Firestar is Born, as Firestar recounts her past in the X-Men in spite of Spider-Man television appearance. He has appeared in only 2 issues of the Spider-Man title. Magneto was the main villain in the animated X-Men pilot, X-Men Pride of the X-Men. His first actual animated appearance battling the X-Men, he was voiced by Earl Bowen. Magneto's first appearance in the show to incarnate the Beast in X-Men animated series. This is the X-Men animated series, by the way, I'm talking about. Magneto's voice was provided by David Hemblin in the series X-Men, where he played a prominent role. Curiously, though he began on the show as a villain, his character spent more time as an ally to the X-Men, fighting alongside them against common enemies such as the Sentinels and Mr. Sinister, as opposed to the cold-hearted villain he was previously portrayed as earlier shows like Pride of the X-Men. In the series, he briefly appears in the first episode, Night of the Sentinels Part 1, on a television screen. Jubilee accidentally turns on with her powers, but Magneto makes his true first appearance in the 3rd episode, Enter Magneto, where he attempts to incite a war between humans and mutants by attacking a military base and launching its nuclear armaments, though they were prevented from reaching their targets by the X-Men. He reappears in the next episode, Deadly Reunions, when he attacked a chemical plant in an effort to draw Xavier out to face him. After defeating Cyclops, Rogue, and Storm, Xavier meets his challenge, and they do battle. Though Magneto gains the upper hand, Xavier tortures him with the repressed memories of his childhood during the Holocaust. Wow, that's fucked up. Causing Magneto to flee in agony. In the first season finale, he kidnaps Senator Kelly in order to once again attempt to begin war, but is thwarted by a group of Sentinels. After Master Mold and the Sentinels rebel against the creators and become a threat to the entire world, Magneto allies himself with the X-Men and successfully eliminates the Sentinel, in which he saves Xavier's life. He appears in nearly every episode of the 2nd season, in which he and Professor Xavier have been depowered and travel through the Savage Land. And the end of that season, all the X-Men save them from Mr. Sinister and they regain their powers. In Season 4, he creates an Asteroid M as a safe haven for mutants who feel persecuted on Earth. Though his intentions are noble, a betrayal by his closest servant, Fabian Cortez, puts it in motion a series of events after which he realizes that the world will never again trust him as a leader of the asteroid, and he allows the base to be destroyed. In the 4th season finale, Magneto teams up with Apocalypse, believing that the Immortal will use his power to resurrect his wife. When he discovers that Apocalypse plans to destroy all reality, Magneto helps the X-Men to defeat him. Disheartened by the loss of the Sanctuary, he does not care about the impending assimilation of mankind by the Phalanx until he receives news from the Beast, Forge, and Mr. Sinister and Amelia Vogot, and that his son Quicksilver has been kidnapped by the Phalanx. In the second part of the 2-part 5th season premiere, he teams up with them to defeat Phalanx and save everyone they have captured and assimilate. I'm not going on with the rest of the stuff. I shouldn't have mentioned this much. He also appeared in X-Men Evolution. He was voiced by Christopher Judge. I'm only going to be going over this because I don't want to run out of time. He was also in Wolverine in the X-Men, and he was also voiced by Tom Kane in the rendition of Ian McCannell's portrayed Magneto in the X-Men films. And he was also in the Superhero Squad show, and he was in episodes Hexed, Vexed, and Perplexed, and he was voiced by Maurice LaMarche. He was in the Marvel anime. He was referenced in the Marvel anime X-Men in Conflict. Cyclops mentions that Magneto is a special plastic cell when discussing on how a metal bridge, when twisted with a different direction. In a post-credits scene to Destiny, it is revealed that Magneto's plastic prison has been destroyed and he has escaped. And he was in the Iron Man Armored Adventures. He appears in the episode The X Factor and was voiced by Ron Halder. Wow, that's a... really? Okay. Also, now we're on to the X-Men film. At the state of the film, a preteen Magneto was separated from his parents by Nazi soldiers in a concentration camp. And it was during... wait, whoa. Hold on real quick. I skipped over a little bit here. Alright. Magneto was played by 2-time Academy Award nominee Sir Ian McKellen in the movie X-Men and its sequels X2 and X-Men Last Stand. His alter ego is Eric Magnus Leshner, which is at the time was his name in the comics. He is the main antagonist for the 1st and 3rd films and the anti-hero in the 2nd film. In all of these films, he wishes for mutant prosperity, or as Cyclops put it, superiority, but only so long as he remains in control of it. In addition to battling the X-Men, Magneto has no qualms about endangering or killing innocents, displaying high maglo-mechanical behavior such as taunting Rogue about nearly killing her in the 2nd film, and later sacrificing dozens of his mutant followers in the 3rd film by knowingly sending them against anti-mutant weapons, while he remains safely at a range, stating that in chess the pawns go first. Throughout the films, Magneto is at odds with Charles Xavier, his old friend, but displays a great care towards Xavier, acknowledging Xavier's contributions to the mutant kind. In the X-Men films, Magneto's resistance to mental attacks does not stem from his own natural powers, but is technological in nature. His helmet contains some kind of physics shielding component able to completely negate both telepathic abilities of Charles Xavier as shown in the X-Men, and also the illusion casting abilities of Jansen in X2. In these films, Magneto is credited by helping Xavier build Cerebro. It would seem that in the process of building a machine designed to amplifying telepathy, whatever, Magneto learned enough to develop a means of shielding himself from it. So he was in the X-Men, X2, and X-Men Last Stand. And then there was supposed to be, I don't know if it ever was released, an X-Men Origins Magneto, a spin-off to the X-Men franchise entitled X-Men Origins. Magneto was announced after X-Men The Last Stand and planned for 2009 to 2010. In 2004, 20th Century Fox hired screenwriter Sheldon Turner to draft a script for Magneto that focused on the mutant supervillain and how he became Magneto. The script includes Professor Xavier, a soldier in the Allied forces who helps liberate Nazi concentration camps. He meets Magneto after the war, finding a bond of mutant powers, but their moral differences drive them apart. Instead of McClane and Stewart, though actors in their 20s were to been cast to portray the role, the movie has been shelved, though most of the film's plot has been integrated into X-Men First Class. Michael Flazenberger played the role of Eric Lastner's last Magneto in X-Men First Class. And I don't need to go over any of that, watch the movie if you want. X-Men Days of Future Past, Flazenberger, the guy from X-Men, Origins, First Class, will reply as the role of Magneto in X-Men Days of Future Past, which will be released in July 18, 2014. He will not be the primary antagonist. Instead, a new villain will serve as the main antagonist. Ian McClane will reprise his role betraying the older Magneto via time travel. And now we're on to video games. So Magneto is the final boss of the NES game Marvel's X-Men. He was one of the main villains in X-Men Madness in Murder World. He's the final boss of the X-Men arcade game. He's the final boss of the Sega Genesis game X-Men. He's the final boss of the SNES game X-Men Mutant Apocalypse. He appears in X-Men Children of the Atom. In X-Men 2 Clone Wars, Magneto served as both as a boss for the first time in the X-Men video game history as a playable character. In Marvel Superheroes and X-Men vs. Street Fighter, he returns as a playable character. In Quake Conversion, the X-Men of the Ravagers Apocalypse, the player played a cyborg created by and working for Magneto. In Marvel vs. Capcom, Clash of Superheroes, Magneto appears as a partner assist. He later appears in the sequel Marvel vs. Capcom 2 New Age of Heroes, and he's also featured as a playable fighter in Marvel vs. Capcom 3 and Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3. And he's voiced by Tom Kane. Magneto appears as a boss in X2 Wolverine's Revenge, and he was voiced by Fred Tatasciore. He is the main antagonist in the X-Men Legends, and he's voiced by Tony Jay. A capeless and non-helmeted version of Magneto was a playable character in Marvel Nemesis Rise of the Imperfects. And of course, you know, in X-Men 2 Rise of the Apocalypse, he was voiced by Richard Kane. Magneto also appeared in X-Men the Official Game, voiced by Dwight Schultz. Originally, Magneto made a brief appearance in a cutscene Marvel Ultimate Alliance lying on the floor next to Professor Xavier. I spent my whole life looking for a place for my people to live in the world. Ad-lib. Perhaps I only needed to establish my own. That was Magneto's ending. It's a bit different from the last one, just some words. He was in the spaceship by Galactus, which I believe is called the Ta-2. Let us try to finish this up real quick. Magneto appears in the Wii, Nintendo DS, PlayStation 2, and PlayStation Portable versions of Marvel Ultimate Alliance 2, and is voiced by John DiMaggio. Magneto appears in Marvel Superhero Squad video game, voiced by Tom Kane. He also appears in Marvel Superhero Squad The Infinity Gauntlet, and this time voiced by Maurice LaMarche. Magneto appears as both a playable character and a boss in Marvel Superhero Squad Online. Magneto is available as a downloadable content for the game Little Big Planet as part of Marvel Costume Kit 4. He appears as a non-playable character in X-Men Destiny, and he's voiced by Bill Graves. He's a unlockable character and a boss in the Facebook game Marvel Avengers Alliance. He appears as a playable character in the 2012 fighting game Marvel Avengers Battle for Earth. Magneto will be a playable character in Lego Marvel Superheroes. And here's some, I guess, music kind of things. The album Venus and Mars by Wings includes a song about superheroes called Magneto and the Titanium Man. You know what? I'm just going to do my outro now, because I'm not going to be able to finish this. If you do have any interest in anything else about Magneto that I didn't mention, well, I get all my information from Wikipedia, so you can always just go there. But as always, Nerds and Geeks, I do hope you have enjoyed this arcade playthrough. I apologize if you didn't really understand some things, because I was moving a bit fast to try to finish it all. And as always, I have been OMG WTF, LOL, FTW, BRB. I'll see you guys next week when we complete a Capcom character, and as always, you guys have yourselves a great day. I apologize for the noise in the background. Also, I did not get to say Magneto's special interactions, and I do apologize for that. But, yeah, this is about it. So, remember my name. Leave a like if you have enjoyed this. Subscribe if you have not. And leave a comment if you would like. As always, I have been, once again, OMG WTF, LOL, FTW, BRB. And I will see you next week, Nerds and Geeks. So until then, you guys have yourselves a great day.